You coming out in this weather? Fun.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of Monday, February 27th, 2023. I would ask all who have not signed in to please do so in the back and turn off all of your cell phones and other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations out in the hallway or outside. The meeting room is equipped with an inductive loop hearing assistance system, so you'll be able to hear conversations through the microphones on hearing aids with a T-switch. Emergency exits can be found on your right and left. This meeting is also being live streamed via YouTube with text commenting available. At this time, would everyone please rise and join me in a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, justice. Thank you. I wish to declare Councilman Kahovic and Supervisor Marin necessarily absent this evening. And I just have a couple of announcements before we get started. We have 7 employees celebrating birthdays in the month of March. It's a busy month. March 6th is Wilma Townsend's birthday. The 11th is Dave Krenzer's birthday. The 16th is Victor Gasper's birthday. The 17th, on St. Patrick's Day, will be Carrie Miller's. Double celebration, I guess, on that day. The 18th will be Mike Van Aken. The 22nd is Babette Huber. And the 29th is Rick McGrain. Those are the birthdays we have. Daylight savings time also begins on Sunday, March 12th. If you remember, we spring forward, so we'll stay lighter a little bit later, but go back to getting up in the dark for a while. Also, the Employee Service Luncheon, Award Luncheon is on May 23rd. Just wanted Town Board to note that if you're available to put that on your calendars. And that's about all I have to get started. Looking for approval on the February 13th regular board meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
All right, and then we'll move on to the payment of bills, manifest number 4, and I would ask our deputy clerk, Kim Reese, to go over that for us.
The Victor Town Board has reviewed manifest number 4 in the amount of $4,918,934.57 with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Quail Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lee, and Legacy at the Fairways, and the SS Consolidated Sewer Fund.
Thank you. Get a little nervous when we see expenditures for the 2-week period of almost $5 million, but as you see, there are a couple of super big ticket items on that. In keeping with our transparency that we set up a few years ago, any expenditures that are in the range of $5,000 or more, we try to highlight those. 'Tis the season, as we're spreading some rock salt this evening, $16,840 there. Bluestone Creek Development for our March rent for Parks and Rec of $11,562.50. Shalafo Law attorney fees of $6,247.50. The second draw for pump station number 7 improvements, $186,074.13. Grassland equipment for Parks mower, lawnmower of $16,221.33. Unleaded fuel from Hometown Energy of $7,914.90. Our 2022 audit charge of $5,000. Diesel fuel for February of $8,784.42. RG&E electric for the town of $12,461.97. The Fishers Fire District, the tax levy, we act as a pass-through, as you know, for that, for both Fishers and Victor. $4,592,078. And the Victor tax receiver for the Franmark, that's the courts building over there. This will be the last year that we'll have to pass through on that, $15,000, because we now own the building, but as a result of when it closed, we had to pay that at $15,055.20. The total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $4,878,240.31. So the total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $40,694.26. Can I entertain a motion?
Make a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We have no privilege of the floor this evening, so at this time, we will open it up for public comments and concerns. Ask you that you come to the podium, make sure the microphone's on, identify yourself, and keep your comments to, 3 minutes or so.
3 minutes or so?
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's always a little latitude.
Yeah. All right. Hello, my name is Randy Shea, 50 West Main Street, Victor, New York. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I've done my best to condense the 30 minutes of what I have to say into the 3 minutes allowed in accordance with your rules. In August of 2022, I made a 20-minute YouTube video entitled, "Our Town of Victor, New York Representatives Planning Victor Insulators Incorporated Out of Existence." Unless there is something that I am unaware of, history may very well be recorded as the answer is yes. 3 minutes of time is not enough for me to explain my reasoning. The video is still available to the public for anyone who wants to watch it and or respond to it. Allowing the abandonment and removal of the rail spur that services Victor Insulators Incorporated would be a gigantic mistake for the town, for the county, for our nation, actually. I have a bunch of different reasons that would be bad, and some of you I know have actually talked with IRA about the reasoning why the trucking option is not good, especially as they continue to ramp up their business right now. But the main thing is that it's jobs, jobs, jobs. I know some politicians like to say it 3 times, so it gets through. Green jobs, union jobs, local jobs. If Victor Insulator is put out of business, because IRA has come before this board twice and said that it would be a severe adverse impact, possibly putting them out of business within 5 years. That would hurt jobs. That's one reason. Another is living history. Now, I love the fact that we have a lot of historians and historic things about Victor that we celebrate, but living history is that which is still here. If there was one thing that makes Victor, New York unique, not just in this nation, but perhaps the entire world, is it is the epicenter of where the wet porcelain insulator was first designed and manufactured by Fred Locke back in the 1800s. That's significant. Maybe you think of insulators as being something not that important, but think of the Industrial Revolution without insulators. Think about not having an electric grid, not having a communications grid. That is huge. Now, it looks like a rundown industry. It's not got as much pizzazz and shiny stuff as some of the new businesses coming into town, but they've been taxpayers since way back then. So the fact that this could possibly adversely impact them, I think, is something that it should be seriously considered. And whether you know it or not, majority of your constituents don't even know that the possibility exists, and they should. Whether people decide that the rail should be taken up or not, the implications of it should be known prior to the decision. Now, you might say it's not in our hands, it's up to the Surface Transportation Board, it's up to the other guys, but the planning that was involved in the last couple of years showed that, it even showed up in the plan, that the road was put in place and the rails were torn up. I won't go too far into that because I don't have much time, but so hopefully you are aware of the Ontario County Central Railroad Corporation has filed a notice of intent to partially terminate abandoned service that connects the spur servicing Victor Insulator Incorporated. Another thing I would note is if you look at what they're talking about as far as taking out the track or abandoning it, it actually makes a way for a bypass, to bypass the village altogether with a road, maybe down the road, but basically by abandoning the section all the way up to 332, which is part of what they're proposing, that to me should alarm people, because I don't think that should happen either. The Surface Transportation is open to receiving public comments pertaining to this filing by March 24th, 2023. The information on it is here. If you go to friendsoftherailroad.org, you will see a new page that we created, which basically, as of right now, has a link to the document that was filed. You will find it under the page title, Proposed Railroad Abandonment Information. The document itself I never know when I'm going to get nervous when I'm talking. The document itself is a notice of intent to partially terminate abandoned services. It shows a map of everything. It gives you all the legal mumbo jumbo. But it's from the Ontario Central Railroad Corporation, and it's been sent to now the way it works, my understanding is that the Surface Transportation Board may not decide to allow the abandonment. It's going to come down to whether people speak up, and I'm hoping that basically there's good news. There's still time for you to be on the right side of history. If my question about whether or not the town board representatives are planning Victor Insulator out of existence is something that would lead you to say, no, we definitely don't want that, the time to speak up about it, not just to the Surface Transportation Board, but to your constituents and to the general public, is now. There are other reasons. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, most of you know that. I'm also a conservative. I'm also lean to the idea that the government shouldn't be funding everything. Well, right now there's an infrastructure bill that's been passed, and money's going to be spent somewhere. And just recently there's been news about how they're going to be redoing all the railroads around here. So there's money available to fix the tracks. Most of them are more high-speed rails, but this is a low-speed rail here that could be done. So don't tell me there isn't money. There isn't the possibility that we could come up with the money without having to raise taxes locally for the purpose of keeping the rails. National defense. All right. I brought up the grid earlier, right? Think about this. Now, if it is a homeland security issue, which I'm not really buying into, but if the climate change thing is a homeland security issue, then don't you think that if we're going to double the grid, we're going to need more insulators? Do you know that this insulator plant right here is one of the last two in the United States of America, I think in North America altogether? The other one is Lap Insulator, and they don't produce the quality and types of insulators that are produced right here in Victor. You think that that's not an important issue if we run into a situation with, for instance, China or anybody else that would then be supplying us because we wouldn't have a place that's doing it anymore if they go out of business, or even if they just get cut back because they can't compete price-wise anymore. That won't be good for us. So as a conservative, as a Republican, as somebody who believes that the government does have a role in national defense, I absolutely believe that some of the money should go that's from the infrastructure towards fixing the rail. And I hope you agree. Whatever you decide, whatever you believe, whether you believe the rail should be taken out or you shouldn't, whatever your position is, I'd hope you'd be more public about it, because most people don't even know this is about to happen. And just for the record, this has nothing to do with the rail going to 251. Okay? That may be something that should be done to help out with taking care of traffic. This has to do with what doesn't really make sense going that way for more than one reason. The whole idea of possibly connecting up to that traffic circle at the lower end of that traffic circle, that was in the plan originally, made no sense to take the road out to connect to there, because you already know what it's like to go through that traffic circle. And that was actually in the quote-unquote plan or report or whatever. So my wife said, be respectful. I am being respectful. I realized, she brought something up. Up until about 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about Victor Insulator. I was ignorant of it, okay? So hopefully, if you haven't done it already, you consider what I've had to say. You do some research and think about what I said, and take a public position, and put in your opinion to the Surface Transportation Board. And I'm speaking to everybody here. I'm hoping this will get out to the county level, all state legislators, because I don't have time to go to all these meetings. I got to get going on some things I have to get done for myself. So thank you very much for your time, and have a great night.
Thank you, Randy.
Good evening. My name is Diane Robbins, 644 Championship Drive in Victor, and I'm also here in support of Victor Insulators. I am still puzzled by what seems to me jumping ahead by the town. I mean, as Randy said, this is all up to the Surface Transportation Board. And if they rule the stuff stays, it stays. There's nothing that can be done about it. But as far as public support, I have here copies of a letter that I wrote to Secretary Buttigieg, the Department of Transportation, and in a very nice return letter, I was informed something I didn't know, as apparently many members of Congress didn't know, is that the Surface Transportation Board is an independent agency, not part of the Department of Transportation, and they were going to forward my letter on to them. I won't take up your time reading it all. I have copies, if with your permission, I would like to hand out to you. But I do want to mention, Randy said he's a Republican and conservative. I'm Democrat and liberal, but we're on the same page on some of this. One of the sentences in my letter, and in my mind, this is also a national security issue. Do we really want to depend on China for insulators for our electrical grid? I wouldn't think so. So if I may?
Very much. Thank you. Diane, can I get a copy for Supervisor Marin and Councilman Kohovic as well? Sure. Thanks. Thank you.
We can put it on the website.
Oh, sure, okay.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Anybody else like to speak?
Hi, I'm Dolores Fanton, 8082 Taylor Road, and I submitted a letter, but I think it was too late to get to you.
Dolores, we all got it today.
Oh, okay.
We all got it, and I think we all had a chance to read it and read through your comments, so we are aware.
Okay, so we do have a lot of concerns. I didn't understand about the Freedom of Information law, and I couldn't get the conservation easement. However, everybody in the town tried to help me today, and Marlene from Assessments made a copy of her best, her most recent information about the conservation easements. Could I bring them to you?
Certainly.
All right. Now, my copier had a
Okay. Yep.
Now I need to do, I wrote in there about us going to the Conservation Board and finding out that berm easements don't exist. And now it turns out that on this map, and I forgot to bring my magnifying glass, but the type of easements that I was told to check up on aren't on this map. They're a type A, and then there's, I can't read it. It's a different type of easement. When I get my oh, wait a minute, they did try and blow it up. Everybody tried to help
I
me.
have some readers. Do you want to try these? They won't know.
No, type A, and then type B, open space easement. They tried very hard to help me out. The type B is this crosshatched thing, and the type A is the black. But when you look at this map, just if type A happens to be no touch, which I can't find out, I couldn't find it out, I have to check with them. You notice these properties here, it's going to be maybe 25% of their property won't be easement. That makes no sense to us that anybody buy that property and pay tax on it. And I will go back to the Conservation Board, but when you look at it, all this stuff here is easements, and that doesn't seem practical, enforceable, or in the spirit of what an easement is supposed to be, which is to set a conservation easement, which is to set aside the property. That's just not going to happen. So I'm really concerned about how this whole thing is going by, and I'm also concerned, as I wrote in the letter, that they closed the meeting and then presented all the information. I didn't think that was a reasonable way to handle us, because that does discourage our neighbors from coming, and us too, because we don't feel, we think this ill-advised subdivision is going to come through no matter what we say, and we're going to be damaged. And I did mean the final statements, it's too late when somebody gets killed going up our road. There's no take back on that. So thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any suggestions for what I should do that I haven't done to try and get this to be a reasonable subdivision, as I did state, we had the deed restriction. We were able to buy our property because June Crandall, who previously owned the property, was turned down by the town of Victor to subdivide our property. People up the road, same thing, 6 acres, cannot subdivide because of the deed restriction. And yet the property across the road is going to have essentially an acre house. So it's not in the character. So anything you can suggest to try and get this to become a reasonable, safer project, I'm willing to try. Do you have any input for me?
Well, what I'll do is, obviously, Supervisor Maron's at a conference. That's why he's not here tonight. And he will, I probably assume that he will respond to your letter.
Okay.
He'll probably have some suggestions for you, and they'll probably be a combination of things, of what you can do and who you can talk to, and also checking with the codes. Easements are very complicated, and you're absolutely right. They're difficult. People don't understand them. We constantly are working with people with easements and what they can do and what they can't do. And they think, well, if I just clean it up, that's so. And well, that's not a no-touch easement. So, those things are very difficult. And obviously, I think that the participation piece is through email, through correspondence, through coming to meetings, and continuing to do what you're doing and to be heard and have your neighbors be heard. But I know that Supervisor Maron will probably respond to your letter and have some suggestions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you
you.
very much.
Are there any other comments? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on to reports for town officials. You have it in your packet from Highway. IT, there's a brief write-up from Mercy Flight, and, anybody else have anything to report on any of the committees that they've been attending? No? Okay. Is there any public comment? Susie? Okay. Drew, did you have something?
I just had one quick comment in regards to the Parks and Rec CAC. They asked to meet with me a couple of weeks back regarding, long-term funding for some of the projects identified in the comprehensive Parks and Rec plan. And kind of the resolve that we had there, I would set up a time to meet with Jack to discuss that. So I just wanted to make you aware that that's kind of something that they're looking at now. And I think it's, it's certainly a smart thing to look at from the terms of our reserve monies based on the development of new residential properties, which I believe is now $2,000 per lot developed, is funding the dog park. But after that, especially considering that, we aren't built out yet, but we are building out the town, and some of that development stuff and the monies into that reserve will, over time, dwindle, and eventually, we won't have a source of revenue there. So I think that they're just starting at the early phases of looking at how we fund these projects and how we come to fruition with our comprehensive plans. And it's all long-term, 30,000-foot view type things at this point, and I just wanted to make you aware that that's something I'll be speaking to Jack with shortly.
Good, thank you. Moving on to our resolution portion. We'll start with resolution number 1. These are budget transfers for various things from economic development and some rec administration, snow removal, fuel.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 2 is to amend the 2022 budget to include the associated expenses for the purchase of 11 Franmark. As you know, that we closed on this very late in the year. We just wanted to have this resolution updated and amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 3 is to amend 2022 budget to include the associated revenue and expense items for the ARPA expenditures. This, I believe, came as a suggestion, came up during our audit, to have this put down as a resolution, so we were more exact with that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 4 is accepting Roxanne Ammerman's retirement, 18 years of service, and we wish her the best in her new adventures, and we thank her for her years of dedicated service to both the employees and residents, and want to wish her well.
So moved.
Second, and certainly thank you to Roxanne.
Absolutely. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 5. This is the authorization for the purchase of stackable chairs for the Department of Parks and Rec.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 6 is bringing back the Mambo Kings, Richard Delaney, Parks and Rec, contractual agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 7 is for Allison Nutting, and this is also for preschool children's dance and creative movement, another contractual agreement with Parks and Rec.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
8 is our request for certificate of liability insurance. It's the waiver that follows up these appointments when we hire folks to work and come in and work on a contractual basis.
So moved. Second.
Did you get that one? Was that a tie? Was that a tie? It was a tie, I think. Number 9. This is the, resolution number 9 is the seeker resolution for the Harlan Fisher Dog Park project. As that's moving along quite nicely.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Resolution number 10. This is the authorization to seek bids for Dryer Road Park and the Municipal Park parking lot renovation project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, the Dryer Road Parking Lot Renovation Project Seeker Resolution. This is the acceptance of the Part 1 EAF form.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 12, this is the authorization for purchase of flowers and the plant material.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And resolution number 13, this is to set the public hearing, updating our zoning codes. This public hearing is going to be on March 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then resolution number 14 is the authorization for supervisor to extend existing professional environmental attorney consulting agreement that we currently have with Nixon Peabody.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, if there's any other public comment? Susie? No comments? This time I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.